Coming up on this week's episode of Hold All Tickets, I'm in the host chair with Alex in South Australia enjoying Gather Round. Lucky to be joined by James Molony from RaceNet IQ. There's plenty of shorties going around on Saturday. Any of them in Sydney vulnerable?
I think there may be, yeah. I think there's a bit of value in the Sydney Cup this year, and in the Oaks, I think we could take on the favourite at the short price.
You'll have to find out who he's backing. Coming up right now, Hold All Tickets. Welcome to this week's edition of Hold All Tickets, brought to you by BoomBet. Great fixed odds, more value and more boom moments. Sign up today and get in on the boom. Alex is gallivanting around South Australia for Gather Round, so I've shuffled across to jump in the host chair this week, and I'm lucky to be joined by pro punter James Molony. Welcome to the show, James.
Thanks very much, James. Look forward to it.
James's tips can be found on RaceNet IQ, but we're fortunate to be getting an early look at his Saturday set for Randwick. How are the confidence levels heading into Saturday?
Yeah, they're not too bad. It looks like a fantastic card. Challenging to get a couple of favourites beat, but I think we hopefully can with a bit of value for the punters.
I think a few of those shorties being multied up is going to be pretty popular this week, but we'll get into that later. Firstly, Thoroughbred Sales is the number one online horse platform for owners looking to buy a racehorse with over 130 trainers and syndicators to choose from. Horses will also be eligible to run in the new $4 million race series with over 400 races having a bonus. We will get to James's Sydney set shortly, but as always, we'll kick things off with the Self-Trumpeters of the week. We'll get into it with one vote for Mick Kent Jr. Mick went to the footy last Thursday night, but he wasn't in the GA. He put up an Instagram post that read, "Glutton for punishment, ... or am I?" with the photo showing a welcome sign to the President's Club, if you don't mind. So one vote there for Mick Kent Jr., a bit of President's Club boasting there. 2 votes. Damien Lane. Got a little bit of audio to tee up here. This was a sneaky trumpet from Frosty on Channel 7's coverage last Saturday. He was interviewed by Emma Freedman after Aliana's Derby romp. He went with this.
The way you're riding at the moment, like Group 1 after Group 1 after Group 1, you're just riding in the best form of your life. Do you feel like that?
I'm not riding in the best form of my life. I've ridden well for a long time.
So if you didn't quite hear that, Freedman said, "You're riding in the best form of your life. Do you feel like that?" And he replied with, "I'm not riding in the best form of my life. I've been riding well for a long time." So cheeky little self-trumpet. Deserved, but 2 votes for Frosty. 3 votes. Ben Walker, form analyst for Sky Racing. He effectively foreshadowed votes in this tweet. So the 3 here shouldn't come as a shock for Ben. He's dug up a video of himself on Sky back in August last year. In the video, Ben identified Aliana as a horse to follow after she finished 4th in a Hawkesbury maiden on debut. So it's a good find. He's put the old footage up on X, Twitter, following her Derby win with the caption, "I know self-praise is no praise, but geez, it's a good feeling when you spot them early and they go on to do something like that." Hashtag Aliana. So great find. Big trumpet though. 3 votes for Ben. Now, 8 votes. And this does reshape the overall leaderboard. 8 votes for Andrew the Hawk Hawkins. Last year's winner. He's really lengthening stride now at the business end. A double pronger from the Hawk here. Firstly, he delivered some classic post-race expertise after Steffi Magnetica won the Donnelly at big odds. I'm not sure if you saw this. Plenty did because the nominations came thick and fast. Hawk tweeted after the Doncaster, "So easy to say after the race, but how did Steffi Magnetica go off at 20-1? Didn't back her, didn't have her in my numbers, so I'm only annoyed at my own idiocy. Well played at Bjorn Baker." So he's tagged in the trainer as well, just to put a full stop on it. Hawk, you are right. It is very easy after the race and rather pointless, to be honest. So he gets votes for that. He also gets votes for an Instagram post of him sitting in his business class seats from Doha to Cairo with the caption, "About to tick a new country off the list." So he's got his little drink there in business class, getting around himself. So 8 votes for the Hawk. That moves him to 21 votes for the season, only behind Miles Fitznose on 28 and then Xavier Pegum on 14. So Hawk is chewing into Miles's margin there. He's 7 off and he's polled regularly in the last 3 weeks. So watch out for the Hawk. Before we get into the tips for Randwick and Bendigo, we first have to hold ourselves accountable. We'll look at last Saturday's set. I'll start with Alex at Randwick. Best bet was Gallant Star, who was mighty disappointing after enjoying a lovely run just off the leaders. That was a flat one. His next best was Clean Energy, finished just outside of the placings, beaten 0.4 lengths. Not a great steer from Ryan Moore, who had a fairly dirty day. So we'll forgive Alex there. And his best value was Inevitable Truth, who finished midfield. So not exactly a hard act for you to follow there, Jim. He went 0 from 3.
Well, hopefully I can find one.
I think you can improve on that. My tips at Caulfield. My best bet was Heart of Glass, who won narrowly but well. That Tatsumaki form is looking red hot. Next best was Statuario, who romped home against pretty moderate opposition, if we're being kind to them. And the best value was Tumbling, who was scratched. So 2 from 2, I'll take that every day of the week. Time to get to the tips for this Saturday. We'll start with the thoughts of our sponsor, BoomBet. Great fixed odds, more value, more boom moments. Sign up today, get in on the boom. The boom odds horse this week is Alicant's in the Sydney Cup. So you're getting inflated odds, $5 for the Sydney Cup favourite. Do you think that's the right horse to be taking on there?
I would be, if I looked at all the favourites on Saturday, she's definitely the one that I would want to be taking on. I just think that she hasn't gone at a gut-busting tempo on speed yet this prep. So if I had to take one of the favourites on, I would take on Alicante. There's some really good proven stayers in that race on Saturday.
Yep. Reminder that T's and C's apply there with the Boom Odds special and to gamble responsibly. Chris from BoomBet, he's also sent through some early Randwick mail in terms of where the money is going early days. So Randwick race 6, carried some future bets on Treasure the Moment at $1.62 currently. It seems a little short to us, but is the clear favourite. Belle de Tel represents some value and could get backed in, so they're expecting her to shorten. Race 7, the majority of bets have come for Alicante. We're happy to take on the mare, though, at this price and expect a big drift as she steps up to 3,200 for the first time. Race 8, Queen Elizabeth via Sistina, rightfully the favourite, even at the $1.80 price, represents value in our opinion. Chow Wolf and Tom Kitten will be attractive at the prices. Expect Dubai Honour to get a big drift. And race 9, Fangirl is the only runner we have taken any bets of note on. It looks about fairly right priced. Lazara could pose a threat and looks value at the odds. Jim, I feel like I've been talking non-stop for 10 minutes. Your time to shine. Let's start with your tip for the Australian Oaks. Can anything get near Treasure the Moment?
It's going to be really difficult. She's airborne, isn't she? I think the only obvious one is the second in the line of betting. I'm going to go with the Kiwi, Lucia Lucy, purely because she's won over 2,400 metres last start at Trentham, winning the New Zealand Oaks. She was challenged late in that race by actually a runner who goes around in this race here, Dubai Gold Rush. But the way she responded late was really encouraging. So we know she runs out the 2,400 metres. And I think from barrier 1, she's going to get just as good a run, if not better run than Treasure the Moment. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do here with the two at the top of the market. I suppose Treasure the Moment will probably look to go forward and settle positively. Depending if there's any other speed influences in the race, I don't have any other early speed influences in the race. So I've got pretty much the 1 and the 2 sitting on speed, and we're getting ridiculous odds compared to Treasure the Moment in the race. So I'm willing to have a small play on the 1 Lucia Lucy in that race.
I'm with the favourite. I think $1.70 could be overs really. I do rate the Kiwi, and you always have to rate the Kiwi 3-year-old staying form when they come over here. I just think this will be her 8th start for the prep, having debuted back in November last year. So it's a huge workload. And the fact that when she did get over here, they weren't 100% committed to this run. They wanted to see how she travelled, and obviously they're happy with her. But that's my only little query, but it does look a race in too. The Sydney Cup, we've got Alicante as the favourite, as we've mentioned. Zardozi, second fave. Birdman, the only other runner at single-figure odds. You're going against the favourite here as well.
I am. I'm hoping Uncle Chris can. He's got 8 runners or 7 runners, maybe 8 runners in the race. I'm hoping that he can send a sacrificial lamb out to the slaughter.
He wouldn't do that, surely.
On Saturday, I've got no idea who that will be, but I think that Birdman is really primed up for this race. If you go back to his first campaign here in the spring, there was a truckload of money for him first up in the Geelong Cup. Now, he sat wide off a slow tempo that day, was given no chance. They put him away, which is a good sign because if there had been a few drop out of the Melbourne Cup, he was on his way there. But before that race, he finished 2 lengths behind Illinois in the Group 2 Queen's Vase as a 3-year-old over 2,800 metres at Ascot. Now, that form would be winning the Sydney Cup every day of the week. And we're getting a decent-ish price for someone who we know will see the trip out. I'm not saying Alicante won't, but if there is a little bit of pressure in the race, I can see Birdman running a big race here. Others that I'm entertaining is Circle of Fire, obviously the reigning champion. We know he runs 3,200. And Athabaskan has just gotten too far back all campaign off a slow early speed. And if they do go quick, it could be the late closer here. So there are a couple that I'm specking at odds.
Yep. I'm with a horse you haven't mentioned there in Duke dissect. I just think maps for a pretty economical run up on the speed from barrier 2. I think he's absolutely flying this preparation. Could easily be 2 from 3. And then split Dubai Honour and Vauban last start. So he just seems big odds for a horse that won the Caulfield Cup last year. I don't think the distance will test him, and he seems to improve since the spring. So I'm happy to also go around the favourite. So maybe a little 2-horse play there, Birdman and Duke dissect. The Queen Elizabeth Stakes, what a race this is going to be. It's basically Sydney's version of the Cox Plate. We've got Via Sistina just under even money as favourite. And then we've got Dubai Honour, $6.50 as we record. And then pretty big odds for everything else in the race. Can you find anything to beat the champ?
I can't on Saturday. I just kept coming back to her. I just think that she, nothing against Pride of Jenny and all of her followers, but, she arguably should be defending this title. She went around even money favourite last year, and we all know what happened.
Yep.
But then her spring campaign was just too good to ignore. This is her grand final on Saturday. I think she'll be winning if we can get anything near $1.90, $2. I just think that's back the truck up. But I think she'll be winning on Saturday.
Yep, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And you mentioned grand final there. Chris Waller, more often than not, has them peaking for their grand finals. He doesn't get it wrong very often. She's just been building perfectly, really, for this. Best horse in the race, just needs a break or two to go away from barrier 1. But we did mention J-Mac. He'll be desperate to atone for last year's Queen Elizabeth. Some sleepy jocks that day, taking nothing away from the winner, as you mentioned. Queen of the Turf, Fangirl, another fairly short price favourite from Steffi Magnetica on the quick backup. And then we've got a Tissue as the third favourite. Saddle cloth numbers 1, 2 and 3 occupying the top 3 spots in betting. Where are we going here?
Yeah, I think if you like Via Sistina, you probably have to like Fangirl.
Yep.
She was on Via Sistina's Girth 2 starts back and, finished second in a photo. I have to be with Fangirl. I just think, even money, it's probably short enough. Do you take it or do you wait? One that I think will probably run a good race is a Tissue back to 1,600 metres after a gut busting run in the Tab Australian Cup. That's probably one. And if they're running on Saturday, but she's going to need early speed in this race, and I can only see Grinzinger Bell, really the only early speed influence in the race. So. Yeah, I want to be with Fangirl, and hopefully J-Mac can be in the right spot at the right time.
Grinzinger can be a very hard horse to catch when she's allowed to sort of dictate out in front, so she could be one to throw in the quaddie. Were you shocked by Steffi Magnetica's win last start, or you could make a case for it post-race?
No, I couldn't make a case. Yeah,
No.
I was slightly shocked.
Yeah.
I didn't expect. She's another one that's hard to catch. Like, she didn't win last prep for 4 starts, and I just find the Doncaster so hard. That's probably attributing to the handicap conditions. Yeah.
Yep. All right, we'll get into your best bets for Randwick on Saturday, starting with your best, which goes around in the lucky last, race number 10.
Yeah, I think Commemorative will be too hard to beat in race 10 on Saturday. Pretty obvious she had no luck last start in the Galaxy when settling too far back before having to negotiate traffic sort of 300 metres out from the finish. But she still beat home Lady Laguna and Estriala, who she faces here again. I think the wide gate here will really suit her, just getting back and then finding clear galloping room late. And with a bit of luck, I think she'll be hard to hold out. We'll get a good chance to see how the track is playing by that stage, obviously, by the last race. And if they're running on late, I can see Commemorative being too strong.
Yep. Your next best is Via Sistina, who we've already discussed earlier. Your best value goes around in race 6. Big price for this horse.
Yeah, Miss Alexis. So I was at Sandown 2 starts back when she won a maiden, and the impressive part of it was the way she sort of negotiated traffic. 300 out from the finish, she settled midfield off a slow early speed. But the way she clocked the quickest last 200 metre split of the meeting, suggesting she's got plenty of upside and she'll see this trip out. I think in the Adrian Knox last start, she just didn't get the race to suit. She settled too far back and then I think she clocked the quickest last 200 metre split in the race. We're getting $34 to find out. I'm willing to have a little stab there. And then Grinzinger Bell, race number 9. If she can go forward and get the right sort of early tempo to suit and doesn't get any pressure, she could definitely get a similar run to her Sunline Stakes win last start at Moonee Valley. And she did win 3rd up last campaign over the mile. So she knows, she knows how to do it. It's just about those early race splits.
So race 6, of course, is the Australian Oaks. So you're tipping like a Lucy, but $30 chance Miss Alexis, definitely one for exotics, and obviously worth a little 2 horse play there.
Yeah, I'm tipping like a Lucy predominantly just because of the price difference between her and the favourite, and then just a small play on the 8 and on the 8 in that race. Yeah.
Yep. We'll go to Bendigo. No offence to Bendigo, but this meeting doesn't quite compare with day 2 of the championships. Still winners to be back though. My best bet goes around in race 5, Sweethearted. Showed plenty of promise in her first campaign, was pretty good in a handy race on resumption. She was slow away down the straight, never in a great spot, but picked up strongly late. Big field as well, so I had to negotiate a little bit of traffic. Was only 2.2 lengths from the promising Alabama Lass. I think with a cleaner jump from barrier 5, she should settle much closer to the speed. With a bit of extra fitness under her belt, we have seen her settle much closer than she did last start, so that might have been a bit of an anomaly, her missing the kick. Next best was race 7, number 3, Regal Vow. Need them to be running on, or at least a fair track on Saturday for her to be winning. But she was hammered in betting at Caulfield on resumption. Just things didn't pan out for her at all. She got back in a race where the leaders completely dominated. There was very little change from where they settled in the run. Her work in the straight was good though, and hopefully a little bit more tempo in this. Importantly, she's 3 from 3 when second up. All of them pretty comfortable wins. So we're getting a decent price for Regal Vow to bounce back off that first up run. And the best value, race 4, number 10, Electric Bell. She's on the quick backup after a total forgive job at Caulfield last Saturday. She drew barrier 1 with a 3 kilo claimer in the saddle. Just never really saw daylight till the race was over. She gets a more senior hoop here and will be outside horses from the wide gate. She won't be anywhere near the rail. So based on her victory in benchmark 80 grade over this trip, 2 back, she's probably over the odds at $12. I think she is as we record. All right, that is Bendigo done and dusted. Let's bring it home with the yays or nays for this week. I'm putting Jim on the spot with one of them, but we'll start with this. Briassa is now the top dog of the sprinting ranks in Australia following his TJ win. Yay or nay?
I'm going to say yay. 9 starts, 7 wins. We saw on Saturday, Jolly Star brings that Newmarket form and convincingly beat Jolly Star. In recent years, we've seen, Nature Strip, Bella Nipotina, Eduardo, and recently I Wish I Win all retire. So you have to, you sort of almost got a blank canvas now, and you're saying, well, who do you put there? And Briassa, the way you can settle on speed and sustain a wide run whilst copping pressure is really impressive. So, I mean, early doors now, 4-year-old, but I would say yay.
I'm nay. I'm sitting on the fence a little bit. He and Private Harrier, obviously the new kids on the block, as you mentioned, bit of a changing of the guard in the sprinting ranks, but neither of them have raced in Victoria yet. So I think the sprinting ranks are very even at the moment. I think the spring will tell us who the top dog is, but I'm sort of sitting on the fence there a little bit. Expanding the weight scale for the Cups is a good move by Racing Victoria. So just before I get your answer, bit of context here. The minimum weight goes from 50 to 51. Minimum top weight goes from 58 to 59. Importantly, the minimum top weight at final acceptances has to be 57 kilos. So Vauban was the top weight for the Cup last year, carried 55.5 kilos. So Under the new system, he'd have to carry 57 and other weights would be raised accordingly. Yay or nay to expanding the weight scale? Good or bad?
I'm going to sit on the fence if you're allowed to sit on the fence at the last one. I don't think that. I think the press release statement said something along the lines of we want jockeys to be more available. I don't think that's the reason at all. I don't know why you don't just adjust the weights according to the ratings and then have it ranked back to their true weights. So, for example, if you've got something that's rated 100 and their weights is 48, we'll say, righto, well, you've got to carry the minimum type scenario. I think you need to, for a good handicap, you need to entice the best runners. In recent years, you might want to entice Kyprios to run in the Melbourne Cup and say, righto, well, you're going to carry 61 kilos because you're, 190 rated or whatever. But, I think for a good handicap, you need that top weight to be the best horse for it to work. And I think what's happening is, we don't have the best horses and all of a sudden they're going from 55 kilos up to 57 kilos. So
yep.
I'm on the fence there. I think that more needs to be worked out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll say, it's a step in the right direction. I mean, last year we had a 5.5 kilos spread across the entire field, which is not enough for a Melbourne Cup, which is, supposedly our most famous handicap race.
Yeah.
And it also meant that, the press release mentioned the jockeys, but they had a point. We had a lot of our best jockeys missing out on a ride last year, and you do want to see the best horses and jockeys in action on those big days. So, I do like the move, but I agree with you that more could be done there. This is the one I'm intrigued about from your perspective. On what you've seen in the slipper and the sires, this 2-year-old crop will make it at the top level as 3-year-olds. Yay or nay?
So in regards to the slipper and the size, have we seen in previous years those runners make it as 3-year-olds?
Sometimes, but I'd say more misses than hits.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I went back the last 5 years. We've only had 1, 2, 3 Group 1 winners after they've come top 3 in the slipper.
Yeah, right.
In the last 5 years, top 3 in the slipper have only gone on to win, or 3 horses have gone on to win a Group 1, and that's Cylinder, Cool and Gutter, and Animo went and won heaps.
Yep.
But it's pretty hard to find
Animo,
one.
the only out and out star out of that.
Absolutely, group. Yeah. And you had a lot of could beans like Farnham and Away Game and Shinzo. So I'm gonna say nay, purely because it's never really been the be all or end all rating, I suppose, for a 2-year-old.
Yep. I'm also nay. I'm not sure the 2-year-olds we've seen in Sydney are going to trouble the older horses next season. Woden, favourite for the slipper the whole way through, and while he had excuses that day, I don't think he's necessarily lived up to the early hype. But I do think there is a 2-year-old sleeper in Scenic Point from the Hayes camp. Only had 2 starts, both in lower grade races in Vic, but I think she could be the best of the 2-year-old
Good win
sprinters.
on Saturday, wasn't it? Yeah.
Still pretty green, a lot to learn. So she might be one that can sort of make it as a 3-year-old up against the older horses. But yeah, I agree with you there. That is it from us today. Thank you very much for filling in today. Reminder, you can get all of your tips via RaceNet IQ. Thank you also to our sponsors, Boombet. Great fixed odds, more value, more boom moments. Sign up today and get in on the boom. If you enjoy listening or watching Hold All Tickets, give us a like and a follow on our various platforms, Punters YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram. Leave a review, preferably a good one. And most importantly, hope you back a winner or 3 on Saturday. Thank you very much, Jim.
Thanks, James.
All the best on Saturday, and happy
You
punting
too, mate.
to everyone else out there. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.